This is Saturday Morning Mysteries.
And we're your hosts, Alexis and Grace.
Hello, good morning, and welcome back to another episode of Saturday Morning Mysteries. We're your hosts. I'm Grace.
And I'm Alexis.
And we're back. We are continuing our journey into the future.
Future. In the 22nd century. Holmes in the 22nd century.
Yes, of Sherlock Holmes in the 22nd century. And Alexis is back for her second episode?
Yes.
That
Yeah.
could be true.
Third. No,
Third
second.
episode. I don't know.
Wait a minute. Yeah. This is my second episode.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
It's funny because
I got
before
so
we hit
confused there.
record, we were talking about our schedule, and I was like, I think I only have one more episode of Sherlock Holmes to do. No, I do have two. It's
Yeah,
because
okay.
it's after, yes, because remember, we're recording
After this,
two of my
okay.
episodes today.
We're just all
Yeah.
confused. Our schedules are a little crazy. We got to record in
Yeah.
advance. You guys know this. And you know what? It's not helping that Sherlock is just embedded in our brains. So
No.
we're all confused about what year it is, what century it is, no less.
What place it is, what city, how new is the city that we're
How
in right
new?
now? Is it new or
Wouldn't it have
new
been
now?
funny
I don't know.
if when they rebuilt Seattle, they called it New Seattle?
Seattle.
That's only in the future do
I
they
wish.
do
Yeah,
new over.
exactly.
In other words, as we
Modern.
learned from Futurama
Yeah.
and Sherlock Holmes in the 22nd century.
Or when
So-
it's ending the conquest of some foreign king, like New York, instead of just
Yes.
York, This
Yeah.
is New York.
New York.
Mhm. Yeah, and then now it's New York,
New
in our
York,
minds
okay.
at least.
In our
So,
minds and hearts.
yes.
Okay, well, with that confusing intro, Alexis,
Yeah,
go ahead with whatever episode you're doing. What
I
number?
will, and I'm
I don't
gonna.
know.
I think two. Yes, it is my second episode,
Great.
and we're gonna jump right on in today because it's gonna kind of be a long one. I'm
Okay.
gonna try to power through it as quickly as I can,
Okay.
but since this is episode 201 of our podcast, 201, right? Because okay, good.
Yes. Yes.
You
That
look
one is
confused
correct.
at first, so I was like, wait, no, did I not look at the right thing when I wrote that down? I felt like also joining in on our milestone celebration of episode 200/201 by today bringing back a deep cut and a tried and true trope into the mix for our episode. And this is on three fronts, so I'll run through them quickly.
Okay.
The first reason this is like a celebratory episode is because when we celebrated episode 100, you'll remember we ended up breaking that into a two-part episode too, right? Like, okay, well, we're going to celebrate episode 100 and 101. So I was like, fine, we should also celebrate 201 then, right?
Perfect.
Second, the episode that I'm covering today is based on a Sherlock Holmes book that we have actually talked about on this podcast before. So it is a callback and a deep cut.
Nice.
I'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
And third, that said Sherlock Holmes novel is not one of only my favorite Sherlock Holmes stories, but it also kind of involves one of my favorite things, Grace.
Oh, God.
Wills and estates.
Yeah. I was going to say, let me get my blue pen out to sign some documents.
We got an heir. We've got, a whole line of descendants and all of that, because today's episode of actually Sherlock Holmes in the 22nd century is called The Hounds of the Baskervilles, based off of the Sherlock Holmes novel, The Hound of the Baskervilles.
That's so funny. For all the other ones, I guess not all the other ones, a lot of them, like, they changed the name.
Yeah.
But in my last one and then this one, they were like, let's just call it what it is.
I call it what it is. And my next episode is the same thing. They kept the same name from like the short story that my third episode is based on.
Yeah.
But it's funny, you're right, that like in the first two episodes, I don't think they did that.
Yeah.
But then this is episode 3 of the series, and they change it like, okay, we'll name it after the exact book it's based off of, except there's a lot of deviations, which like you would expect, obviously, but like it's super different. We'll get into it in a minute.
Okay.
But I decided that instead of waiting until the end of the episode to like talk about what the actual book is about, I'm
Uh-huh.
going to talk about it just really, really quickly here at the
Okay.
beginning because, like I said, the episode is going to be kind of long, and I feel like it'll be longer if we're tangenting about the book at the end,
Okay. Okay.
and also because I've talked about the book on this podcast before.
Yes.
So, The Hound of the Baskervilles is the third of four Sherlock Holmes novels by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, published in 1902, and it famously blends detective fiction with gothic horror as it follows Holmes and Dr. Watson on an investigation of a family curse and a demonic hound haunting the Baskerville family on the desolate moors of Devonshire. The story begins with the mysterious death of Sir Charles Baskerville, which prompts his best friend, Dr. James Mortimer, and his heir, Sir Henry Baskerville, to seek Holmes's help. Though Holmes, he's like, it's not that he's not interested in the mystery, but
Mhm.
he goes about solving it in a different way. So he basically just sends Watson back to Devonshire with Sir Henry and Dr.
Mhm.
Mortimer to investigate this supernatural sort of thing on his own. So Watson is kind of out there by himself for a while, allegedly.
Mhm.
Um, but I'm not going to actually give the book away because, or give the
Ooh.
ending of the book away because it actually is like considered one of the most famous stories, like horror stories or like detective
Mhm.
mystery stories ever. And it's one of the most popular Sherlock Holmes stories. So I recommend either like watching one of the movie adaptations. There are
Oh,
many
or
which are
reading
great. And
it.
of course, they're adaptations, so they like change a few things from the story, but there are a couple really good ones that you can watch. Or I recently found an audiobook that I will be listening to online. It's like five and a
Oh,
half hours long. So I was like, I
nice.
can't do it before we record this episode, but it is now on my playlist to listen to in the future.
Cool.
But I have read through the whole plot and I've seen a few of the movie adaptations, so I like kind of know how the story goes. So I'll leave it at that for the plot line. But I
Nice.
did say we talked about this book way back before, again, celebrating the history and the lore of this
Yes.
podcast, Grace. We last talked about it. Can you believe it was June of 2022? Yeah, I was like, has it really been more than 4 years that we've been
What
doing this? Yeah,
episode
I think
number was it?
it was episode 18, and it's Rescue
Wow.
Rangers and the Will That Wouldn't, which was also loosely based off of The Hound of the
Yes.
Baskervilles. So I talked
Wow.
about the plot in that episode too. So if you're interested, go back to episode 18.
That's
Episode
crazy.
18, yeah, which then I always try to remember too, like what year did Grace and I start this podcast? I always forget if it was like 2021,
Is it
2023.
2022?
It was 2022. Yeah.
Wow. That's
So we're 4 years in now.
crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Also, our
So
Rescue Rangers arc was so fun. You also just listen to that whole arc if you haven't
it's
yet.
yeah, you should. Grace was very smart and organized all of our episodes into like playlists based on
Hmm.
if you're watching on
The
YouTube,
show.
based on like the show that we covered. So you can just go to that playlist on our YouTube page
Yep.
and
Watch that whole
listen
arc.
slash watch all of our Rescue Rangers episodes. I think there's a couple extras in there that we've covered for a holiday arcs
Yeah.
too that are really good. But yeah, love that show. Love
Hmm.
that episode because it made a callback, obviously, to one of my favorite Sherlock Holmes movie adaptations.
Yes.
So,
Wow. Great, great
yes.
reasoning for having this episode also be a celebration
Hmm.
episode.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
agree.
So unfortunately, the wills and estates part of it all doesn't play a big factor in today's episode, but it's there. You know it's there
In
in
my
the
heart, I
original
know it's
IP,
there.
damn it. So it's there. It's worthy of celebrating in episode
Yes,
201,
it
in my
counts.
opinion.
Yes,
Yes.
I agree. Definitely counts. And also, we know law doesn't exist in 2103.
No, no.
So,
That's why they
wills
don't
and
know how to
estates,
solve crime.
necessary. Yeah.
Yes. So, all right, we'll jump into the actual story of today's episode,
Okay.
which you'll remember in my previous episode a couple weeks ago. I mentioned that your first episode, Grace, and my first episode, and now this episode all compile a three-part story arc that
That's
lays
right.
out like the main conflict and premise of the series. And so listen, the reason why I told you I didn't really mind breaking up this part 3 of the arc
Yeah.
with your second episode last week was because just like straight up tonally, this episode is so different and so like far removed
Okay.
from my last episode that the extra week in between kind of like helped to just like take
Okay.
a break and step
I'm
back.
so concerned. Okay.
Because Grace, I said the book takes place in Devonshire, England.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, the show takes place in New Scotland
New?
or in New London at New Scotland Yard.
Uh-huh.
Well, today's episode primarily takes place on the moon.
I'm leaving. It's been a great 4 years. I thought you were going to say New Devonshire. Wouldn't that make sense?
Wouldn't it? Wouldn't it? It would. And it's not even new moon, it's just moon, the moon still. So, yeah, a
You
story about
know,
ghost towns on the moon is what we're doing today.
you
So that's why I
know,
was like, no, no, Grace, do your second episode, please.
yeah, we need to have like 3 episodes of like somewhat normalcy
Yeah,
before
this.
we, Artemis 2 just got back and now we're going.
Yeah, we're celebrating, we're going. Exactly. And yeah, that's good. Sure. We'll look at it that way.
Sure.
Sure.
Just for them. I know they're
Yeah,
listening.
shout out to them, which actually, yes, shout out to them.
Yes,
Welcome
also
back
true.
home. But okay, before our crime solvers shuttle off into orbit,
Hmm.
the episode starts with Lestrade and Watson at Baker Street, aka Sherlock Holmes's house where he lives, like the museum now turned back into his house. And they've just been briefed on a recent assignment by Chief Inspector Grayson, but they're watching the subject of their assignment now, like also kind of get full-blown news coverage on the morning broadcast. So
Okay.
this story has not been contained by the police. The media is now
Mhm.
covering it too. And so what has happened here? There were 3 teens who were vacationing in Galileo City, which is a domed-in resort that is conveniently located on the moon.
Very convenient.
Hate to see it, yeah, but
And
convenient.
hate to see it.
These 3 kids, while they're vacationing there, have all gone missing and are now presumed dead, I guess you could say,
Yeah.
sadly, after reports of a phantom hound attack. So the
Okay.
teens were taking a tour of actually the lunar landing site where the United States landed on July 19th of 1969. I only remember that because I say it in this episode, so it's now
Okay, I was like,
ingrained in
wow,
my
she looked it
memory. You're
up.
like, damn, no, I did not.
Okay,
The narrator of this broadcast told me.
great.
Um, but yeah, so they were taking a tour of that area when they decided to wander off the trail a little bit for kicks and giggles, as teenagers do, when they encountered and were seemingly hunted down by this phantom beast. And a lot of nearby witnesses claim that they heard howls and screams in the distance. But once witnesses got to the scene, all that were left were 3 teenager-sized, shredded up spacesuits and giant hound-shaped paw prints scattered in the dirt around them.
That's imagine being a witness to this.
Bad. Getting bad.
Imagine, even if
Mhm.
it wasn't a hound, if you find the spacesuits with no one in them,
And just
yeah,
shredded up.
they're definitely dead. Even just not shredded up.
Hmm.
If just there's no humans in that
Yeah,
spacesuit
true.
anymore,
Just
those
empty
humans are dead.
spacesuits. Yeah, because like you don't just drop a spacesuit, when you're
And you
roaming
need the
around the moon.
spacesuit to
Exactly. But I mean,
exist
like
out
even if
there.
it was one that someone didn't have, like theoretically, you're not just carrying around an extra
Oh,
spacesuit and you're
yeah,
just
yeah,
like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah.
I dropped it. So like
Oops.
you can count that out as something that
Yes.
would have happened. Like, no,
Great.
there's someone's dead. That's
Yeah,
bad.
they
Yeah.
have left this spacesuit. They are certainly dead.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
So
okie dokie.
terrifying. We hate to see it. Obviously the newscaster is describing it as just like brutal,
Brutal.
brutal
Brutal.
and terrifying, but not beautiful. No, fearful. I don't know. Anyways, oh gosh,
Oh gosh, she hits her
every
mic. Oh no, everything's
everything's
falling
falling
apart.
apart.
The
So
hounds in her apartment. Oh no.
I'm being haunted in real
Dun,
time.
dun.
So even more interestingly, or even more sad, depending on your class loyalties here, is who these three teenagers are
Oh
or
no.
were dot
Okay.
dot dot.
Word.
First off, we have Troy Winslow, who was the fourth and only son of the British shipping magnate John Winslow.
Okay.
Then we have Benjamin Jessup, who is the son of an American shoe manufacturer. And then, last but not least, there's Kelsey James of Tucson, Arizona, who is sadly no stranger to tragedy, as the reporter reminds the audience that she is the now orphaned daughter of parents who died in the aftermath of last year's tragic Shuttle 10,000 crash.
Oh God.
Yeah, just this poor girl.
Damn.
This
Okay,
poor
well,
girl. That's all we can
go
say
save her at
there.
least.
Yeah. I'm glad she's still, well, wait, no, she might not be. I was gonna say, I'm glad she's still okay, but no, she
But
might
she's
not
in this
be.
headline, so
Yeah.
probably not.
So Watson acknowledges that these phantom hound sightings have been occurring for several weeks now, and they
Oh,
even
okay.
remind him of the old legends that he's been hearing about, aka the books that he is like programmed with in
Oh,
the
yeah.
old journals and stuff, aka when Sherlock and Watson investigated the hounds of the Baskervilles back
Originally.
in whenever, exactly. So Lestrade shrugs off Watson's claims, telling him that the sheer concept of hounds on the moon is ridiculous and that he's been just watching too much tabloid news. But in any event, Lestrade seems pretty ticked off that just a few short days after they've seemed to crack down on this new crime wave that's taken over New London, the chief is now shipping them up to the moon to investigate crackpot theories of phantom hounds and like
Mm.
just rich runaway teenagers. So she's like, what the hell? Like, shouldn't we be getting rewarded here for all that work we've been doing? Now we're going to the freaking moon.
Also, of like,
Runaway teenagers. Yeah, she's totally undermining it.
yeah, okay,
Yeah,
the
or
guy's like,
downplaying
I
it.
guess policing never changes, huh?
No,
Just like
nope.
all these teenagers, we're not going to investigate them.
Exactly. They
Hey, there's
probably just ran
runaways.
away on the moon.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, why not?
Slay. Great.
Okay. But at this moment, she also is like looking around. Remember, they're at Sherlock's home. And she's like, wait a
Uh,
minute. Where is Sherlock? Like, he's not here. I just realized that we've been going through this
great
whole,
cue.
yeah, all this information. And conveniently, just as she asks this, a video message comes across the computer screen, and it is indeed a message from Sherlock. And he's in the message, he's telling Lestrade that something urgent has come up and he shall be back in touch in a few days. Now,
Okay.
obviously, this pisses off Lestrade a bit because she's like, I'm supposed to be his supervisor. Like,
Also, I
I
just
give
woke
him
you up from
assignments.
your like
Yeah, what could
beehive
be urgent?
slumber. Who do you know?
What could be urgent? True, like seriously.
You've been awake for 4 days.
But Watson is like, yeah, you know how Sherlock is. He doesn't say much about like what he's doing, but I guarantee
And
you he's already on the case. Like I bet we're gonna see him when we get up to the
he's
moon.
gonna
Like
be on
he's
the moon.
probably already there.
Yeah.
Exactly. And they are right because we soon after we go up to the moon now, and
Hmm.
so we're on the moon. Just
Okay.
I
Now we're
don't want to
here.
like breeze over that, but the rest of the episode does take place on the moon from here on out. So
Are they
just
in spacesuits?
remember they are, well, okay, Sherlock isn't at the moment because he's like on the
They're like in the
resort
dome.
grounds. He's in
Oh,
the
right.
dome.
Okay.
But yeah, so they're mostly in spacesuits though for the rest of this episode. Yeah.
Great.
So Sherlock, he's walking through like a secret employees only corridor or
Hmm.
hallway in the resort where the security and technical controls are handled, and we see him creeping around a corner, and he's kind of like watching another employee who looks really frazzled and somewhat agitated as he's pacing towards a room. And he opens the door to this room, but he's kind of like fumbling his way in. The employee does. He's like
Hmm.
fumbling his way in, and he has to scan his thumbprint on like a sensor reader type of thing and then enter a little code. But when he comes out of the room, Holmes like slowly walks up towards him and, just accidentally kind of like bumps into him, forcing him to drop all of the things in his hands.
Uh-huh.
One of the things was a journal, it happens to be. And
Okay.
so Holmes swaps a journal of his own with the other man's journal, takes it
Okay.
and is like, he helps him get his things up, like, oh, I'm so sorry, didn't mean to hit you, didn't see you there. And the man is like, oh, thanks so much, it's fine. He's not like frazzled to see this man in front of him dressed
Uh-huh.
in this way, in this not moon
Oh,
appropriate
okay.
attire. He's in
That's why
his
I was asking
normal,
about the
like,
spacesuits.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, he's in his normal get up, and then he just puts a suit over top of that. So he's got like long trench coat, that hat, all,
Okay,
all of it. And the man's just like, oh,
great.
sure, yeah, thanks. Like,
No
thank you for
problem.
your help. Yep. And then he rushes off and goes down the hallway. And then obviously Sherlock Holmes, he takes the man's journal, he gets a piece of tape out of his pocket, finds a thumbprint or like a fingerprint on the journal using
Oh,
like a
yeah.
flashlight or a dark light, puts the tape over it, copies it, and then uses that to sneak into this room. And inside of the room, we see all sorts of monitors and buttons and flashing lights, like the typical control room,
Okay.
security, surveillance room type of stuff.
Yeah.
Um, and as Sherlock is looking around the room for a bit, we start to hear the sound of howling echoing through the halls and throughout the resort.
Okay.
So at this moment, we also see Watson and Lestrade arrive at the resort.
Hmm.
I guess as I was watching this, I was like, are all officers in New Scotland Yard like required to also be licensed astronauts or like pilots or something too? Like
Are
they
they
have to
they
be
fly on
trained in
themselves?
space travel. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Watson and Lestrade just hop in a shuttle and go up there themselves, as far as we know. Like we don't see anyone else with them. We don't see them like
It's
get on
programmed maybe into
some
Watson.
it probably is, but still, like space travel is a big thing. Like you gotta
I
physically
guess
train for that
not
shit. I
anymore.
mean, Lestrade doesn't. Let's be real. Lestrade doesn't need to physically train for
No, for
anything.
anything.
He's good, but still. So yeah, they're up on the moon now. They're
Great.
in Galileo City at this domed-in resort, and they're making their way into like the main lobby of this resort. But right when they get in there, they also start to hear these howling noises.
Uh,
And okay, sorry. Before I go, there's just one other thing I thought of too, which is why I was kind of talking slowly because I was like, wait a minute.
oh no.
I guess not only do they have to be like experts in space travel, but New Scotland Yard just has like jurisdiction over moon crimes now. I don't know because like remember, two-thirds of these kids are American, and I don't see any like American police officers there, United States of America, American
I
police officers there or detectives like looking and searching. So I'm like, I don't know, maybe this resort is like owned by the Brits
is
or something, but I
British
still, yeah,
territory, but they're still
like
leaving
which
the resort at some point.
exactly, yeah. And also hate to think about the concept of like British territory on the fucking moon. Like,
They said we're
hate
going
to
back
think
to our
about it.
roots.
Yeah. History repeats itself, baby.
Um,
Yeah, sorry. So I was like,
wow,
wait a
nothing
minute, I
really
have to get
nothing's
this out
changed
now. I
again.
can't hold this in anymore.
Police just saying they're runaways.
Yeah.
British colonizing.
Yeah. So, anyways, yeah, for whatever reason, Lestrade and Watson have like law enforcement authority over this moon
Also,
resort.
so sorry to keep this going, but of
No,
like
no, no.
just another like I feel like general callback from whatever episodes being like, who authorized you to do
Who's in
this?
charge? Yeah, who's
Yeah,
the authority here?
like in every episode we've ever done, like who
Basically.
said you could do this?
Hmm.
So yeah, that feels
The question
yeah,
continues.
this feels like it's our 201st episode callback still. For
Yes.
sure. Like,
A lot of, like I said, tried and true tropes on this podcast, a lot of common
who
themes,
who said you could do this?
reoccurring questions that we are
Yeah,
going
can I
to
see some
ask.
paperwork?
In a sense, it is vigilante justice after
Wait,
all, which episode one, Saturday
episode from
morning
the start,
mysteries.
baby. Also,
Yeah.
it's like they don't actually have exclusive authority. Maybe they were just like because one of the kids was British, maybe. But in reality, when
Yeah.
all of the other like international agencies see that it's Lestrade who they sent, they're like, she can have the case. Girls, all you. You got
Let
it.
her.
Please
She
don't punch
got
me
it.
again.
She got it. One, it sounds scary, Phantom Hound,
Yeah.
and two, she got it. She's
And
got
two,
this. She's
she
gonna
beat
put
me
that
up
Phantom
last
Hound
time
in
I
a
got in her
headlock.
way. Yeah, I'm like,
I'm still
She's
on medical leave.
I'm more scared of her than I am of the hounds. She can have it.
Yeah, let her do it. She's an act first, think later kind of person.
Kind of
So
gal.
that's what they need. Yeah, that's what they need up there.
Yeah.
Oy. So yeah, just more things to think about with this show and more reasons why. Yeah, it fits right in perfectly with us celebrating 200 and 201 episodes of the
Uh-huh.
podcast. So yeah, not more than like 2 seconds after Lestrade and Watson get into the lobby, they also, like I said before, hear those deep, bellowing werewolf-like howls echoing throughout the resort. And it's a little bit scarier for them though than it is for Holmes because in the lobby, they can see the dome and everything covering
Uh-huh.
this building, this resort. And on top of that dome, they see a giant werewolf-like creature slowly crawling
Crying?
up it, up the.
Crying? A little bit. Um,
Yep, howling its mind out.
do you think there'd be
Hmm.
better security to begin with? How did it even get on there?
How did it get on there? We'll get to that. I'm glad you mentioned security though, because yes, there are like so. How much do you know the Alien movies with like those big like yellow
Mm.
robot suits that they put on to like fight the aliens and stuff? All
No,
right,
but
well,
I'm
anyone,
imagining it from like
yeah,
just general sci-fi
they do a
world.
parody of them in Archer too, where it's just like these big like
Like,
mechanical robot suits. Yeah, exactly. And they're
yeah.
like yellow and they have claws and stuff. Basically, we see like security guards in those, like with guns, like shooting lasers at the
Okay, so
thing.
they are
But
trying, but they're
so they
bad
are
at it.
trying, but I think your job is to prevent that from happening, not to stop it from
Yeah.
continuing.
Also, those robot suits don't sound like they could crawl up a
No,
dome.
they
They're not
cannot.
crawlers.
They're on the ground. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
just like hopelessly on the ground shooting up
Unhelpful,
towards.
hopelessly.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, that's it. And it's not doing anything. Like they're shooting it and stunning it with a laser gun, but the thing is still just
Not doing
crawling
shit.
up and howling and howling. Yeah.
Okay.
And also, thankfully, it is a laser gun and they're not like actual guns or anything that could actually pierce or crack the dome
Dome.
because then that would
Yeah.
obviously very quickly kill everyone inside of Galileo
Yep.
City, which would be very bad.
Yes.
So meanwhile, we see Holmes again, who is still down in like that surveillance room or that control room or whatever, and he turns on the computer system and he's basically like, okay, hey Siri, turn off the PA system. Like, why, what is that howling noise? Where is that coming from? Turn that off. So Siri turns off the PA system, but oddly enough, the howling continues. And
Mm.
Holmes is very confused now because he's like, well, wait a minute. If it's not the PA system, we shouldn't be hearing anything because we're in space. We're in a vacuum. No
Yeah.
air, no sound waves for anything to bounce off, or nothing for the sound waves to bounce off of for us to hear. So
Mm.
we shouldn't be hearing anything. So then he asks the computer if there is another broadcast system online, to which the computer responds, yes, the emergency broadcast system is online.
Okay.
Holmes then asks the computer to pull up a map of all of the resort's communication satellite feeds to highlight any that are currently transmitting into the resort. And the computer does find one that has been transmitting a signal directly to the emergency broadcast system for the
Ooh.
last 13 minutes and 3 seconds, about the
Okay.
time that they've been hearing this crazy howling noise going on.
Okay.
Mhm. So Holmes, he seemingly gets a little excited about this, like, oh, I'm finding things out here. Nice.
Uh-huh.
Just like you did. Just like you did. Again, you
Yes,
are
being
Sherlock
like,
Holmes
okay,
in this equation.
okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ooh, yes. But he is also growing more curious. So he tells the computer to disconnect that transmission. And in an instant after the computer does it, the horrible howling noise ends.
Okay.
And back in the resort lobby, Watson and Lestrade and a bunch of like visitors who were trying to evacuate right before the Hound showed up, they're all like relieved. They're like, oh my God, thank goodness. Like that noise was terrifying and just like it was like nightmare fuel just hearing that like
Yeah.
chilling hound sound. But they look up, and even though the hound isn't making any noise or they can't hear it, it's still crawling on the
This was my
dome
question.
of this resort. Yes.
Yes, okay. I was like, and they're not, they're chill now because they don't hear it, but they haven't looked up. But okay, you answered my question. Great, great,
Yes,
great.
they now looked up and see that only half of their worries have been resolved. Actually,
Now,
less than half. The sound doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things if the
yeah, I was gonna
monster is
say
still there.
which is scarier? Like you walk out of your like space hotel room and you hear the howling and to look up and see the creature, or you walk out of your space hotel room going about your day and then you randomly look up and see the creature. I think the latter.
I think so too. Yeah, because you're like, oh my God, why did you
What
not
the
make
fuck
any
is
noise
that?
at all? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. At least the howling is a warning that something's out there, and to
Yes.
stay away or, what direction something might be coming
But like
from.
the silent,
But
that's
yeah,
predator. That's
yeah,
predator
exactly.
status.
That thing gonna kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So
yeah,
it's worse
yeah,
now,
I
kind
think
of.
I agree. I agree with you. Yes, it
Yeah.
is actually worse. So take back everything I just said. More problems have now been
Yes.
raised, more worries have
Yeah.
been
Yeah.
created.
Yeah.
So, otherwise, though, seeing that most of the people inside of the dome are like generally safe, though, that they're not, that hound's not getting through the glass. It is menacing and very scary to see, but like as long as you stay inside, you're going to be okay.
Okay.
So Watson and Lestrade rush outside. They get on their spacesuits and they rush outside to get a closer
So
look
you'll
at
be
this
safe if you're
monster.
inside, period. So they rush
We're going to go
outside.
outside. Hey, Lestrade, act first, think
Think
later.
eventually.
Maybe act first,
That's
period.
in the statement.
That's it. That's it. So yeah, they go out there and they're trying to like work with those security guards that are already out there, trying to help them like shoot this thing down or stun it, or just figuring out
Uh-huh.
like what the hell is going on with this, like looking at it, getting a closer look. But right as Lestrade and Watson get out there, they also see Sherlock moon hopping towards them, obviously in a spacesuit,
Mhm.
also trying to speak with these guards. So Holmes tells the guards to stop shooting, to go back inside, and to just resume crowd control duties. Like just go inside and make sure everyone's okay and everyone's safe in there.
This really
While
also just
he,
showing
yeah,
like if you're a confident, tall white man, you can do anything.
you
Like
get, well,
you'd
and
be
that's
like, who the fuck are you? You don't even have a badge. We're just gonna go inside.
Grace,
Like,
Grace.
go
My next line,
on.
episode 201, baby.
We've become
My
one.
two are now one. No,
For
my
episode 201.
him, Lestrade, and Watson take it from here, which, like, who the fuck are you, dude? Do these people know that they should be taking orders from you? Is literally my next line.
Because, like,
Who
at
are
least
you?
Lestrade and
Hold a
Watson could be
badge.
like, badge.
Yeah,
Watson?
exactly.
I mean, Sherlock?
Who
Just
is
a,
this chiseled white blonde man hopping my way? Do whatever
but
he says.
I want to believe him. Look at the jawline and the confidence.
Yeah. Look at those golden locks. Oh man. Look at Lestrade's purple eyes. They're
Yeah,
hypnotic.
she's unblinking at. Oh no, she actually has punched me before. Okay, we'll
She
go
is,
inside.
yeah, no, I do what Lestrade says. Yep,
Yeah,
yep, no,
yeah,
you
yeah.
you got him, Beth. Cool. All right,
Yeah,
bye.
okay,
Yeah,
bye.
yeah. So thank you. Yeah. Thanks for also pointing this.
Yeah, I was like,
She's like, who are you?
sir,
Like these men have never met you, Holmes. They have no
what is his
clue.
outfit? I know you're on have a
Yeah.
spacesuit on, but like again, tall, confident white man.
History repeats itself. So Holmes is obviously very pleased now to see that Lestrade and Watson have caught up and they're finally on the moon. Like,
Mhm.
oh, nice of you to join me.
Wow, guys, what have you
Jeez.
been doing?
But no, he does actually tell them like they've arrived just in time. Like things are just getting juicy. He's just started to find a few clues that make this just really intriguing.
Uh-huh.
And that he then tells them that the Hound is actually a very sophisticated piece of work. So
Okay.
the Hound at this point actually jumps down off of the top of the dome
You
of this
called?
resort. Me?
Oh, moi?
Sophisticated? Did you just call me a piece of work, sir? Thank you. Stuck the landing,
Yeah. Oh,
just for
say
show.
more.
Yeah. And the Hound does start to inch closer and closer to Holmes. as Lestrade and Watson are like screaming in fear, telling Holmes to watch out or like run. Like, dude, do you
Uh,
not see this monster coming right towards you?
does it look
But
like a
Holmes,
giant like wolf dog or more like werewolfy humanoid?
I would say, okay, so it's like a wolf dog, but it is walking on its two hind legs.
Okay, got it, got it.
Yeah. So even though I know the book is like called The Hound of the Baskervilles, and this is called The Hound of the Basker Hounds, whatever. But even in the book, well, I don't know about the books, but in all the movies, it always like looks like a wolf, like a werewolf, or like
Okay,
a
okay.
it's like a black wolf, basically, you
Okay,
know?
but yeah, on the hind
So
hind
not like a
legs.
basset hound, could you, or a beagle. What if it
Or
was
a
so
beagle.
cool? The beagle is the hound of the
It's
Baskervilles.
just like waddling out.
Slowly waddling, the tail just like slowly wagging back and forth and
Oh,
long fingers. Now it's not so scary anymore.
oh,
Aw. And
no,
like,
I
you
want a
know,
hound of the
knowing Devonshire, like
Baskervilles.
it would be something like that. It would be like a
Yeah, so
foxhound or
true.
like a coonhound or a beagle or something. Like, what the fuck is a wolf doing out there? Maybe, I
Yeah.
don't know. Anyways, so
Okay,
Holmes,
great.
though, as he's like literally watching this massive wolf walk towards him on its two hind legs, he's got no fear and he actually seems very, very calm. And the hound is like stomping closer and closer. But Holmes just like looks at Watson and Lestrade, like, stay calm, don't worry, and notice the ground. There are no footprints being left by this beast.
Oh,
Mm. Which
okay.
I would be like, okay, so it's a ghost, right?
Right, so again, it just got worse.
So it's a ghost.
Every
Yeah.
instance, the howling stops, worse. It's not leaving
Yes.
footprints, worse. Everything's getting worse.
It's these are not good clues that you're giving us, Sherlock.
Yeah.
But obviously Sherlock does not believe in the mystical and all of that stuff.
Hmm.
And he thankfully correctly calculates that the hound is just a hologram. So he just walks
Okay.
right through it, actually, and walks right
Okay.
up to Watson and Lestrade. And then they abruptly stop screaming, like, oh, never
Ooh.
mind. And we just see the hologram kind of like glitch out a few times before just
Yeah.
totally disappearing and going
Mm.
away.
Okay.
Hmm. Before Watson and Lestrade can decompress from what they thought was a near-death experience,
Uh-huh.
they're like, okay, give us a second here to
I guess we're
process.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, Holmes immediately turns back around and begins to moon hop his way off to the next stop in his investigation,
Okay.
the crime scene, aka where the kids went missing, aka why wasn't this the first stop? But okay,
Also,
whatever.
AKA, again, who gave you authority? Who, no one's watching over this crime scene? You're just gonna
I'm
stroll
so.
right
Have
up?
you
There's
seen this
nobody.
episode, Grace? Did you?
I just 200
You just
episodes,
know.
201
You just
episodes, you
know.
know?
Exactly. So yeah, Sherlock's hopping away, and Lestrade is like, "Hey, you know you're under my supervision here, right?"
Yeah.
And so as he's like already several yards away, he just turns around and is like, "Okay, are you coming then?" And then he just turns back and like keeps hopping away.
Yeah, you're not doing a good job supervising me if you can't see me.
You're
So
really
come
bad at
on.
this, he says as he like hops off.
He's not wrong.
So when they get to the crime scene, yes, things are like cordoned off and all of that so
Okay,
that
good.
not any random person at the resort can just waltz in there and compromise the
Okay, good.
investigation. But as you astutely noted, there are no officers like monitoring things there, though. They put the caution tape up and they're like,
Again, they don't know how to solve
I should
crimes in
do it.
2103.
Exactly.
They don't
Not even
know.
on the moon. Laws the
No.
same everywhere. Oh man. Yeah, so there's nobody there, but whatever. Which and the longer you think about it too, that's crazy because like remember these are it shouldn't matter, but it kind of does that these are super rich and like famous children that have gone
Right.
missing and like there's no law enforcement presence at all. They're
Where
just
you
like
think their families
caution
would be
tape.
paying for
Yeah,
better
also true.
security. Like,
Exactly.
yeah, they
Or
just
like,
said,
more private investigators to like be up
yeah,
there searching for anything. Like Sherlock and Watson and Lestrade, I guess Lestrade obviously works for Scotland Yard, but like Sherlock and Watson were not hired by any of these
yeah.
families, which, man, oh, in hindsight, they should have written it that they were because it would have been more of a play on the original
Oh, right,
story,
because
too.
the family
Yeah.
had hired
Because,
Sherlock and
like,
Watson.
I'll just say right now, the only similarity to this with the
Is the
original
name.
book is that there's a hound. It's a hound, quote unquote. Nothing else.
Wait,
There's no Baskervilles. And
I
that's
say
the
the
other, they
resort's not
call it
even
the hound.
called Baskerville.
Exactly. So they didn't even have to name this episode after the book, which is us now going back to where this episode of our podcast all began, of talking
Yes.
about how they decided to name it after the book. And it doesn't even take, I have a lot of criticisms of this episode as someone who really likes
With a lot of
the
notes.
original IP. But, anyways, so our trio does find some very large paw prints in the dirt, and they seemingly match like the size of the holographic monster that they just encountered back at the resort. But Lestrade questions how the monster could leave paw prints here, but not leave them back at the resort a few moments ago.
Oh,
And Sherlock, which yes, good question.
okay.
Sherlock is basically like, duh, Lestrade. There are obviously two hounds. Which, aka, he
Duh.
just says eyes and brains. There's
Yeah.
obviously two hounds, but when he says eyes and brains, that's him basically saying, duh, you idiot.
Yeah.
Like,
Come on, you dipshit.
as we've discussed. Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm like, hey, not fair. You're moving the goalpost. Why would any of
Yeah,
us expect
every
there to
time.
be two
Right. I
hounds?
just thought it was a real hound and it was a hologram. Like, what do you want from
Exactly.
me?
Don't duh me. Don't eyes and brains me,
Yeah.
Sherlock. Fuck you. Yeah. But Watson, relying solely on his programming and the information that the Yard has fed him, he
Mm.
keeps bringing things back to that old lunar legend. So he's saying, like, but what about the old, like the tales of the old Phantom Hound? Even the workers who built the mining complex here claim to have seen a Phantom Hound, which, pause, mining complex on the moon,
On the moon?
yikes. Hate to see it. Resort on the moon. Yikes. Hate to see it. British territory on the moon.
On the
Yikes.
moon.
Hate to see it all.
We've learned nothing
Like,
from history ever. Not
no,
once.
not a bit.
Not once.
So Sherlock dismisses this notion of like any phantom hound pretty instantly, just saying like that's just a folk tale. It's all just, made up stories. And he
Mm.
says that those old miners were probably just seeing things or had like an overeager imagination,
Mm.
or maybe it was just all some big publicity stunt of sorts for that time to try to get people interested in the mining operations. I don't know, like I guess like that would
Sure.
pique your interest or make you want to go
Sure.
to the resort, like because there's a massive phantom hound terrorizing the area. Yes,
Great.
a great publicity stunt, if you ask me. So, although it is strange, Sherlock notes that all of the footprints left behind by this massive beast appear to be identical, seemingly confirming to him that while this is a tangible creature, it is a non organic being. Because
Okay.
any actual living creature would have had a lot more variety in the footprints or the paw prints that it left behind. Like it would be
Okay. Yeah.
walking in different directions or like putting weight on different sides of its foot or its paw or
Okay.
whatever. So Lestrade asks what that has to do at all with these missing kids, though. And Sherlock admits he hasn't quite gotten that far yet, but one thing is for certain. Someone has gone to great lengths to make this hound look and seem credible, and they've used the old lunar hound legends to good effect. And he further presumes that at least part of the desired goal here was to clear out the area, noting that the result of these phantom hound sightings and the alleged deaths of the teenagers has led to all of the tourists basically evacuating the resort grounds and leaving the
Mm.
moon, which is probably for the better. Anyways,
Yeah, yeah. Yep, just keep the hound there, baby.
yeah, it's actually not doing a horrible thing.
Yeah.
So Sherlock then begins hopping away, doing his little moon hops off, telling Watson and Lestrade that he must now see those shredded spacesuits right away. Which,
Okay. Also, where are you
again,
going to find them?
yeah,
Where are they
so good
stored?
question. It's unsure what room it's in, but yeah, again, my very next
It's
line
not
is back inside of the resort slash dome. The trio is in some sort of closed off secure room
okay.
where these
Okay, I mean, sure. It's
where these
just
spacesuits are like allegedly where the teenagers were allegedly wearing when they were attacked. We see them all
the
just like laid out on evidence tables or something,
the chain of
like not
custody is
crazy. It goes crazy
it's
in a
not
bad
as
way.
yeah, it's just not. Not there. It's non-existent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, lack of law enforcement understanding. They're like, we put caution tape up. What more do we
Right.
need to
And
do?
we decided to zap a couple dogs we saw to lobotomize them, so surely we solved it, right? We caught the criminal. What, you want us to
Oh my
find where the
God.
bodies are? Huh?
They just start attacking any dog that they see on the moon,
Just
which, okay, what?
lobotomizing
But crazy.
them.
So, yeah, super dark scene we get here where they're literally
The shredded
inspecting
clothes.
these, yeah, shredded up spacesuits. And we also get a look at the helmets that, like, the glass covering and the faceplate is totally like shattered and
Shattered.
like punched in. Yeah. Thankfully, there is no blood, which, like, as I was
Okay.
watching this, I kind of thought to myself, like, good Lord, like, this had the potential to be really, really graphic and
Yeah.
obviously not child appropriate.
No.
And they kind of explain away the reasoning for them not having blood on these here in a second, which is interesting. And
Okay.
I'll give the writers a thumbs up for it. But they're looking at these suits, and Lestrade just kind of unemotionally says, like, what a tragedy. How awful.
Lestrade's like, I haven't gotten to punch anyone today.
Anyone. This
This is
is
so
so
boring.
boring.
There was nothing to
Yeah.
crash into.
How awful.
Yada, yada, yada.
It gets worse because Sherlock's like, yes, I know the suits are expensive, but I wouldn't call their loss a tragedy.
Suits?
The
You know what?
suits.
I feel like Sherlock would say that any century. Sherlock's always gonna be like
True.
that.
It's just that's how he is. And Lestrade quickly clutches her pearls, like, dude, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah,
what?
right.
I
She
meant the
suddenly snaps out
kids.
of
Yeah.
that.
She's like, okay, whoa, even I'm not going that low. She's like, I meant the kids, Sherlock. And Holmes is just like, well, they weren't wearing these suits when they were smashed and shredded. If they were, the sudden decompression would have exploded the faceplate out, not in, taking the person
Okay.
with it and creating quite the mess indeed. This is word quote for line, word for word, quote for quote, like direct quote.
I mean, he's
So
not
that explains
wrong.
why the suits aren't bloody.
Yeah. But we have to say it.
Yeah. Do we have to paint it with such detail?
Wow. Okay.
Yes, we do. Fuck it. Why
Yeah,
not?
absolutely we do. Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
Also,
This
again, I'm
show's
like,
awesome.
yes. Also, I just like keep thinking to myself after you like briefly kind of didn't say it verbatim, but just the in space, no one can hear you scream tagline.
Hmm.
Like every single
Hmm.
moment, I just keep thinking of that, and including this moment.
So you do know the alien
Yeah,
lore.
exactly. Yeah, when you
It's
started
like,
saying it,
yeah,
I
you
was
know their
like,
tagline. You just don't remember the awesome fucking
you've never
machines that they
actually
use to
seen
fight.
it. I just
Fair, fair. You
know
just
the
listen to the
cultural
rewatch
references.
podcast.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I just
Well,
recognize the references.
well, yes. Only the best horror, one of the best horror movies and sci-fi movies ever made. Sigourney Weaver, the Queen. Not like that needs to be said on this podcast, but anyways. So yeah, the gang now realizes that the spacesuits were just left behind in an attempt to throw the detectives off their trail as they
You
hunt
know,
for these kids. Yep.
just not
Hmm.
helping that they were runaways theory.
I'm
A little distraction thing. Lestrade's like, oh, so they weren't in them? Let's go home. Fuck these kids.
Lestrade further concludes
No, no.
that, okay, maybe not quite runaways, but that this just must be a case instead of just like a simple kidnapping with some window dressing. I think she's still, like you said, she's still leaning on that runaway theory. Like, what did I say? I know
Okay,
what I'm
but still, a
talking about.
kidnapping
A
Lestrade? That's still a
kidnapping with window
crime.
dressing. Yeah, she's like downplaying that now. Like, oh, this isn't a crazy hound attack. It's actually just a kidnapping.
Yeah.
Cool.
So let's go
So
home.
we, so we, so we ready to go? We were sent here to investigate a phantom hound,
And
not
we
a
solved it.
kidnapping and a ransom. Exactly. It doesn't exist.
So
Let's
let's
go.
go.
Yeah.
Let's skedaddle.
So, yes, this does like kind of add up in her mind though, because she's like, I mean, again, these are two of the richest kids in the world. We've got the son of a shipping
Yeah.
magnate and the son of a shoe manufacturer.
And then honestly,
And then
orphan.
poor Kelsey. Yeah. And then Kelsey, an orphan.
Kelsey.
Yikes. However, Sherlock reminds her that they still haven't received any ransom demands, so that makes the kidnapping theory pretty unlikely. And he
Mm.
tells her that they need to get and gather some more facts and evidence before they come to a conclusion. Lestrade scoffs at him. She's clearly ready to punch something. She's so over this mission. And she's like, trust me, a ransom is going to come any minute. Just you
Okay.
wait. And
Okay.
Holmes kind of like chuckles back at her, like, okay, you say so, but I'm gonna keep looking over there because you're wrong. Okay. Like,
Sure,
sure,
Lestrade.
sure, okay. So Sherlock walks up to a nearby computer and he asks it to pull up records on all of the missing kids, but more specifically, any records that they have on Kelsey James, like the
Uh-oh.
not rich, ill-fated orphan. He's like, okay,
Uh-oh.
maybe the other two are kidnapped, but like, why would anyone want to kidnap Kelsey?
That's a mistake.
So like if we
Certainly.
can figure out something about her, we might find a lead here. So the computer obviously recounts her tragic backstory to them, much to Lestrade's boredom. Like not because she doesn't care, but because she's like, we read through this. Like we've already got the
Great. We've
dossier. We
done,
read this
yeah.
on our trip up to the moon. It's all redundant. Like, come on, let's go, let's
Yeah.
move. But Holmes says, well, if you read the whole dossier, you must have wondered how this young girl of such lowly means could make her way all the way to Galileo City. And this is an expensive resort, and obviously flying to the moon is not something that any random person can do, even in the year
Uh-huh.
2103. So Lestrade, she's like, yeah, I looked it up. She won the Lucky Lunar Getaway contest. Not hard to find, you know? Like, okay, fine,
Damn.
cool, cool.
Watson's
So,
like, between the two of them.
uh,
What do I
oh
do?
God, the tension is
Whew,
really,
whew. I'm a robot. I'm getting a little
it's like,
toasty.
yeah, Watson's like, should I leave you guys alone or something? Like,
Get a
what's going on?
dome. Damn, guys.
Yeah. Like, tell me to leave if you want. Ugh. But
Guys, at least away
Holmes,
from the evidence, please. Not in
yeah.
the evidence
Guys,
room.
don't taint the room. Don't taint the room. So Holmes goes a little further, though, and asks her, but what are the odds of winning such a contest? 1,000,000 to 1? You know, maybe she got lucky, but let's look more into that. So he asks Watson to plug into the computer, scan the internet, and gather any available data that he has about that lucky lunar getaway contest.
Uh-huh.
And so as Watson is working on that, Holmes and Lestrade continue to debate where Lestrade is like, you're wasting your time, Watson. Kelsey is not the person, the girl that our kidnapper is after. She's probably just like a wrong time, wrong place, hanging out with the
Mm,
wrong kids. Like, sucks that she was with him, but she was there. And then she got caught up in the kidnapping as well.
mhm.
And Sherlock, he's like, yeah, but he's looking through her records more and he's like, she was only 15. So I wonder if she brought a chaperone with her. Like, you can't just send kids out in space
Uh-huh.
without a parent or something.
Uh-huh.
And now Lestrade is like, oh, that's actually, I don't know. Good question.
Yeah.
But before Sherlock can follow up on that, we do get an update from Watson's internet research. And he tells them that while the Lucky Lunar Getaway contest seems legit, the company that sponsors it was created just 2 weeks ago in New London. And all
Oh,
of the names of the corporate officers, he looked them all up. They're all fictitious.
that's like when you
So,
see a Reddit comment, you got to go look at that user's profile where they created
mhm.
2 hours ago and have the same comment everywhere. Like,
Exactly. Exactly. Like, uh-oh, it's a
it's too
bot.
good. Yeah, if it's too good to be true, it is.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
So Lestrade is still a little skeptical of the idea that the whole conspiracy was done just to get this poor orphan girl onto the moon. Because I mean,
Okay.
when you realize that,
Right, this is a
it does
lot.
actually kind of seem, yeah, but like it does seem like now Kelsey James is the actual
Yeah,
target of the
she's the
kidnapper. Because
target.
like, why would you go through all that? Like the other kids are rich enough to be there, but he or she, the kidnapper,
Yeah.
he, as we
He.
know, historically speaking, had to make sure that Kelsey was there though.
Yeah,
So now it's
weird.
like, Oy. So in
What?
fact, the rich kids were wrong time, wrong placing it
Yeah, wrong
with the
person.
wrong per This is why you don't hang out. I'm not going to say the rest of that sentence,
The
but you
rich
know where I'm
boys'
going.
parents are saying this is why you don't hang out with people who are poor, poorer than you. That's not what we
Poor
think. That's what
orphans.
these
No,
fictional
we're, yes.
rich kid
The
parents are saying
lesson,
to
the
the other
lesson to be learned from
siblings.
this.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. So, yes, we now have a lot of questions about Kelsey James, and Sherlock acknowledges that upon further research, the computer has told him that Kelsey James does not appear to have been staying in any room at the resort. So, what was she doing there? Where was she staying? And I think Watson even mentions, like, in kind of like in a creepy way at first, when you think about it, he's like, was she staying with an employee? Right? I was like, yikes, no, no, no,
Uh-oh.
no, no. We don't love that, but
What's
put a pin in that.
happening?
We'll get to it. And actually,
Yeah.
my next paragraph here. So Sherlock asks the computer to bring up a news clipping that has a picture from Kelsey's parents' funeral. Because again, this was like a really big tragic accident. I think some
Yeah.
space shuttle that her parents were both on. So there was a lot of news coverage of their funeral and of their death and all of that. And so he zooms in on a picture and he sees obviously Kelsey and some people standing behind her, but he focuses in on a familiar face that can be seen in the background, a man named Jim Garrett, according to the article. And this man is Kelsey James's uncle, also according to the news clipping. And even more curiously, according to Sherlock, he is also the systems manager for the entire Galileo City lunar complex. And the
Okay.
reason Sherlock knows this is because it is the same anxious, fumbling, middle-aged
Mm,
man that he saw coming in and out of that control room only a short while ago.
okay.
So, yeah, I know,
Yeah.
right? At this point in the episode, I was like, oh shit, this episode's getting really good now. I
Yeah.
don't care what
Also,
it's based off of. This is interesting.
yeah, okay, yeah. Like, why'd she have to win the contest of it all? She could have just her uncle
Mhm.
could have just brought her up. Okay. Okay.
Well,
Hmm.
your question
Uh,
will be answered, I assure
the
you.
game is afoot.
The game is afoot, Grace. The game is afoot. So, just as they come to this realization, alarms begin to sound throughout the facility, and a robotic voice is warning of like a total systems failure will occur in 30 minutes. So now we have a timer, we've got a clock going, pressure's raising, and the gang is like, well, Garrett has to be the culprit, right? Like he's the one in charge of all this stuff, Jim Garrett. So they rush to the power plant where they expect to find him, doing something to mess up the system.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's very Jurassic Park coded where it's just
Uh,
like systems failure, like you need to wait for
just
it to reboot or power down.
nebulously.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as they hop their way over there, from whatever security room they were in,
Uh-huh.
they again start to hear the chilling, cold werewolf howls
Mm.
coming from across the barren moon. And from over, like by a nearby dune, they see the shadowy figure of the beast and its bright red glowing eyes hurtling towards them.
Okay.
So they hope this beast is a hologram like
Right,
the
I was
one
gonna say,
before.
big risk,
They're
big
like,
reward
okay,
if it is.
cool, cool.
If not,
But Watson does a little scan of the beast and is like, yeah, no, I'm detecting large amounts of metals coming towards us right now.
dang.
So even if it's not organic, it is real and can and will kill us. So we should
Yeah.
run.
Okay.
So they hop in. Yeah. So like Lestrade and Holmes hop into a little rover nearby, while unfortunately Watson is not able to run away fast enough, and the wolf grabs him and just like yeets him like a rag doll, just like through.
And Watson is
Like
big.
he's big. So you can imagine this wolf is like 5 times bigger, maybe. I don't know, but like yeah,
Shitting
he's just yeeted through. Like you just see him like fly off
in
screen, like,
space.
oh, all right. We'll come back for you later, buddy.
I hope
Maybe,
something is stopping his
hopefully.
trajectory. Otherwise, he's just going to keep
They're
going.
not in the dome anymore. So anyways,
Goodbye.
I mean, in a way, kind of thankfully it happened because Holmes on Lestrade used that as a distraction to peel out of there in that rover.
Okay.
But the Hound is chasing after them. And Lestrade is just like, all right, Sherlock, you drive while I shoot. So she turns around and just starts shooting her laser stun gun,
Uh-huh.
whatever, at this beast. And they pretty quickly realize that the machine, they know it's a machine. So like the
Yeah.
mechanical beast's weak spots are at the joints.
Mhm.
So at this point, Lestrade is only shooting at the joints of the beast, and they're like trying to just like send it on a crazy goose chase, like trying to run it into different like cliffs and whatever to get it to
Uh-huh.
slow down or stop. And eventually, I'm not sure how, something must have stopped him because Watson is able to catch back up with the other two.
Okay.
He's not still just floating through space,
Good, good, good.
thankfully. And he joins the fight, shooting at the machine's joints until it's totally incapacitated and collapses. And so the trio walks up to this machine and they take a closer look and they open up a control panel on it and they notice that it is the property of the Pimlico Zoo, which Lestrade immediately connects to the crime spree in my previous
Oh,
episode,
that's
if you
right.
remember,
The
where
okay.
a number of robotic animals were stolen from the zoo.
Okay, and we were like, excuse me, robotic animals
Excuse
in a
me?
zoo.
Exactly. And I was like, oh yeah, I totally forgot about the concept of like a robotic wolf being at a zoo, I guess maybe like
Yeah.
whatever. Like nobody recognized that. None of the people at the resort recognize that as something from the zoo. I don't know. I guess
Yeah.
it's still something you don't want to see out in the wild, but like,
Right. And it was kind of far away from
what?
everyone. Okay.
Yeah. And then they
Okay.
also see a number of the stolen computer parts that were
Yes, I
stolen
remember
in that
that.
previous episode, seemingly coming close to resolving the great mystery of this new crime wave in New London and the larger plan behind it, or whatever, the larger motive, the crime
Okay.
lord who's leading all of this new crime through the city. So Lestrade and Holmes rush back into the rover and they make their way to the power plant, seeing that they have no time to waste. And when they arrive, they leave Watson there for some reason. Like he can't, I guess maybe he's too heavy to get on the rover. So they're like, Watson,
Damn.
hurry up and meet us there. Like instead of just coming with us. I don't know. I think it's plot armor because if Watson was like in the beginning of this next scene, he would be like it would make a
EVOP,
lot of
yeah.
stuff pointless. Exactly. It's like he too powerful of a character to be in the scene. Like let's
In my last episode, the Watson is just truly just a plot device for convenience sake for so many things where yeah, like plot armor.
exactly. Like the fact that he could even scan the beast, like knowing that it was
Yes.
made of metal, with he didn't put anything out to scan it. He
And
just
why
looked
didn't
at
you
it
do that for
like,
the hologram?
exactly. Great point. Great
A lot of
question. Like,
convenience.
exactly. So, yes, they get over to this power plant, and when they get in there, they're greeted with an equally terrifying and relieving sight all at once. They
Okay.
do find the kids and Jim Garrett,
Oh,
but the kids are in spacesuits floating in like a prison cell that has like a green force field around it that they really can't escape from. It's giving like
okay.
totally spies vibes and
Yeah.
like,
They're
also
floating
kind of
in.
Star Wars vibes, like
Okay,
being
yeah.
stuck in a chamber of sorts. So thankfully, yes, they are all alive and well, but there
Okay.
is the whole imprisonment parts of it all that is obviously very concerning.
Not
But
great.
everyone's alive, all of the teenagers and Jim Garrett.
Was Jim also
But
in there floating?
Jim is also in there. Exactly. So they're like, wait,
Okay.
what? And before Lestrade and Holmes can run over and check on the kids and Jim and try to free them, we hear a deep, distinguished, intelligent sounding, almost Connery-esque British man say to us from the shadows, they'll be okay, but only until the turbines reactivate. Greetings, Holmes. I wondered when you and Lestrade would arrive. And out from the shadows walks the man himself, Professor James Moriarty, dressed to the
Okay.
nines. I'll add like a nice flowy
Always.
blouse, black suit vest, his
Purple
nice
blouse?
skunk like wet, white and black, purple, black, exactly.
Rocks
He's got the
purple.
high boots on, exactly. Hair nicely slicked back into a clean ponytail, you know. And Lestrade is shocked to see Moriarty. She's like, wait, whoa, 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 whoa. We just saw your dead body
Yeah,
frozen
okay,
in the
that's my
ice
question
just a few
too.
days ago. Yes,
She
as
finally put
we
to bed that
discussed
one
in
theory
my
she
last
had.
episode. Exactly. She thought she was at peace of mind. Nope. But Holmes, not at all surprised, and tells her, when you eliminate the impossible, what remains, no matter how improbable, must be the truth. It's not the man himself, Lestrade, but a clone, as evil as the original, I'm afraid, complete with his memories intact. Isn't technology wonderful? So
Okay.
so basically, Holmes like well, he gets to it later, but basically, remember in my last episode, he noticed that there was like a small
Oh, that
hole
little hole.
in the ice, and at that moment, he was like, "Oh shit,
Some
yep, somebody's
fossil
been here,
DNA.
somebody, yep." And there's some
Okay.
more clues that he tells us later as to how he knew this, but we will get there in a moment.
Okay.
So Holmes tells Moriarty to just let the kids and Garrett go, that they have no use for that he has no use for them now,
Yeah.
because Garrett already gave Moriarty the security codes, obviously, as Moriarty is now the one manning this ship.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So Garrett being like the manager of this whole the systems manager, like he has all the security codes. In fact, they were in
Yeah.
that journal that Holmes like swapped with him earlier. So he
Okay.
knew to like, ooh, he's got those codes on him. So, yes, Moriarty allegedly should have everything that he wants from them, right? But Lestrade also tells him that, like, wait a minute, I see what happened here. Garrett, and this answers a question you had earlier, Garrett couldn't be bribed to turn over the security codes. So, like, in the beginning, Moriarty probably just tried to, like, pay Garrett a shit ton of money to give him
Yeah.
the security codes. But Garrett is obviously an actual good man and was like, no, you can't bribe me with
Yeah, no,
that.
what the fuck?
So instead, Moriarty found a way for Garrett's niece, Kelsey, to be up there.
Oh,
He forced a
to
way for
use
her to get
her.
up there so that he could kidnap her, hold her for ransom, and the ransom was the
Oh,
security codes, not some financial
okay.
reward or something.
And the
Yeah,
rich kids, wrong place, wrong time?
exactly. Rich kid, wrong place, wrong time. Yep, because we don't know anything about them. We don't
Oh,
even
okay.
Holmes and Watt and Lestrade don't even acknowledge the rich kids. They're only focused on Kelsey and Jim.
Honestly,
That's
good.
it.
Humble them.
Which, yeah, I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Bring them down a
Exactly.
peg.
So Moriarty tells them that Garrett and the kids may still be of some use to him too. Because now that he has these security codes to the lunar colony, he can basically control the entire moon today, and tomorrow he'll control the entire world. And Moriarty tells our detectives, I know, big dreams, big aspirations,
Okay,
right?
yeah.
He tells our detectives that he has reprogrammed the Lunar Defense Network to unload its firepower on the major communications facilities on Earth. Yes, they stockpiled missiles
On
onto
the
the
moon?
moon. Yep.
Right next to the mining complex that could blow at any point, right next to the weapons, right
Mm-hmm.
next to the resort.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Let's hope no debris or ordnance falls on the dome and cracks it as people in Galileo City are enjoying their billionaire vacations.
I mean, that's a side effect of it
Actually,
all.
yeah, yeah. Well,
Uh,
anyways,
okay,
so
no.
as as Moriarty is explaining this big evil plan that he has, we see a familiar and ugly face appear from the shadows.
This motherfucker, his face
He's
looks like the
here.
surface of the moon. Don't know which
He
was
must
which.
love it up here. That was good. That was good. Yeah. Moriarty's like, you got to come with me, Fenwick. Like, you're gonna love this place. It looks a lot like you.
Have you been? Are you from here? Is this your
Yeah.
family?
All those craters. I know I've seen those somewhere. God. So, yes, of course, as we're saying here, it is Martin Fenwick. And I think because like a combination of him being so ogre-like and like he stomps around everywhere because of like just his ogreness and like he breathes very loudly and nasally because of like his face shape.
Because
So
the
like
craters in his face.
yeah. So like Sherlock and Lestrade hear him sneaking up behind them like he's like unevenly stomping and dragging a leg and like
Moriarty's just like, Jesus fucking Christ, why is this the guy who cloned me?
this was the best I could get. Okay, great, great. So yeah, they hear him sneaking up behind them and like they just shoot him with their stun guns basically and like
from
It
behind the
traps
shoulder.
them. Yeah, like, okay, that was easy. And then Lestrade turns around and points the gun right back at Moriarty and tells him that he's under arrest. But amid the distractions of Fenwick and like also the kids now screaming and stuff because they're like, oh my God, they're
Right.
shooting. It's
Now shooting
happening. It's
guns. Yeah.
happening. Yeah. Moriarty is able to kick the stun gun out of Lestrade's hand, catch it, and point it right back at Lestrade. And at this point, he also activates the computer to reactivate the turbines or whatever the hell he said would happen
Oh, right,
that
right.
would basically leave the kids and Garrett fucked. Like, all right, yeah, yeah, that they're fine until I do this thing that I'm
Yeah.
doing right
And
now.
why
Now
are
they're not going to
they,
be fine.
and is he killing them just because they don't, so then they don't tell the world what happened?
I guess, yeah, they're witnesses now.
Okay.
And he's got
Also
everything he needs from, but like I feel
from
like he
them.
could still do a ransom from
Yeah,
the
for the
two
other
rich kids
kids.
or something. But I guess he's got plenty of money. I don't know really how he came across it, but I guess like all
Yeah.
of this thieving and stuff and the crime wave. But
Yeah.
yeah, nah,
Interesting.
he's done with them because yeah, what we see is that when he activates this thing, it like slowly it's like ejecting them just into space. So
Okay,
like
bye.
the green force field is just getting lower and lower, and the kids are
Oh,
like and Garrett are funneling down to the bottom of this chamber, and it looks like they're just gonna get ejected
pooped
out
out
of the
into
dome.
space.
So this is
Great.
what they do with prisoners at this resort. Like, you know how they'll have like a little security office or whatever, and like, okay, we're gonna hold you in here for a little bit until like you're not drunk anymore and you can
I
go back
guess
to your
what?
room, and then we're kicking you off at the next
No
island, and
one
like
can
you have
hear
to
you
fly home from
scream.
there. No, no, no. In Galileo City, they just eject you into space when you break resort policy.
No, you can't talk to the manager.
Yeah,
You're out.
you're
Bye.
out.
Also, when you
So,
said that
uh,
Moriarty kicked the gun from Lestrade's hand and then caught it, I imagine Lestrade was suddenly like, "It's about to be a love triangle." She like saw his moves and was just like,
she like she like looks at Sherlock like up down to him and then looks at Moriarty up down to him like,
hand
I've
on
got
hip.
options. Yeah. Also, I didn't put it in here, but I was like, if there's some way for me to tell Grace that this happens before she watches the episode, I have to tell her. So I'm just going
Tell
to
me.
use this
Tell
opportunity
me.
now to explain the Moriarty Lestrade dynamic. Like when he is obviously like, so good to see you, Sherlock. I'm glad you found me. And then he walks up to Lestrade and is like, he like kisses her hand, like, and nice to meet you, Lestrade. And she's like, that's Inspector Lestrade. And he's like, oh, a woman.
Oh, what? And Sherlock's like, I know.
I, Sherlock's like, right? It's fucking crazy. I can't believe it either. Yeah, but also he does like kiss her hand and everything very like seductively, and she just yanks
Yes.
it like inspector to you, and then he's very confused and scared at the fact that she has authority and a
In
voice
charge.
and autonomy. Um, so yes, we now hear a bunch of like sirens going off as the kids and Garrett
Mm,
start to like slowly look like they're about to get sucked
die.
out or pulled out of this thing, die, basically, yes. And Sherlock quickly whips out his cane and swings it at Moriarty's hands, knocking the stun gun out of reach. And so Sherlock then tells Lestrade to go save the kids while Holmes fights off and takes care of Moriarty. And in this moment, Grace, in episode three, I mean, I guess we've seen it before in episodes one and two a little bit, but we now learn that Holmes is caked up for a reason, okay?
It's not just
The
style, it's substance too, okay?
substance. These are functional muscles, all right? We know Lestrade is the true muscle and the brawn of this show,
Uh-huh.
but in this fight, Holmes beats the shit out of Moriarty. Like there was never a chance.
There's just
Moriarty
pent
is
up
obviously
anger
all
in there.
brains. Yeah, it's just 200 years of pent up anger
Yes.
that he has been just waiting to release. And he barely breaks a sweat. I mean, he's also just using like the equipment in the lab against Moriarty, like just like throwing shit at him, or
Yeah.
just yeah, it's he's fighting smart and he's fighting dirty too at the same time.
Hell
But
yeah.
hey,
Good for him.
welcome to the 22nd century, Moriarty. Get it together. So,
Catch up.
So he's handling that quite well. And
Mm,
Lestrade, meanwhile, like ties a long rope around her waist and kind of just bungees down into this chamber where the kids are about to
mm.
die, get sucked out of. And she grabs hold of all of them before, they're all killed. And they all just kind of climb up the rope and get out of there. And then they all just kind of like stand there and just watch
The
Sherlock
fight.
beat Moriarty's ass. Just like, wow, this is still going on, huh?
I mean, also, they're like, this motherfucker kidnapped us. Yeah, let's
Yeah,
stay and see
get
what
him.
happens.
Get him. Exactly. Let's see. So Lestrade asks Garrett to stop the countdown, but Garrett tells them that Moriarty has changed the fingerprint
The
recognition.
codes.
So Garrett exactly on all the codes, so Garrett can't get into the system. But Moriarty, who is like obviously beat to shit now, and he's just like crawling his way over towards a door. Like, how do I get out of here? Like, he quickly types the code into a keypad, and the door opens, revealing a hover car that is ready to
Mm.
fly off and help him make his great escape before these great moon wars begin. And just as he's about to crawl his way through this door, we hear loud mechanical steps rushing towards them. And then we hear Watson just
Mm.
screaming like Sherlock as he rides into this power
Oh.
plant on the back of the mechanical hound. And he's just, oh yeah, like riding it into battle. Yeah, you heard right. It's like
Like, that
He-Man
is
and Battle Cat.
so funny.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
I
awesome.
love that. That's
He's like
incredible imagery.
reprogrammed it. That's why he stayed behind. They're like, reprogram that so you can fight. We can use it to
Yeah.
fight.
It's like, I will domesticate this wolf dog.
Mhm. We're friends now. It's cool. He
That's,
responds to my orders.
I'm devastated that that hound did not stay part of the gang
I
as
know that would have been
Watson's ride.
awesome. Oh my God, that would have been incredible. They
Wow,
needed
epic.
it. Every good detective needs a hound dog
Needs a
with
hound
the, sniffing
dog.
out the scene. Yeah.
Wow, incredible.
So yeah, so Watson is just tearing through the facility on the back of this dog, and he sicks the hound right onto Moriarty, who has now like started to jump into the hover car.
Mm.
But before he can close the roof of the hover car, the hound like just he it's like kind of hard to explain. He like jumps towards the car and it like knocks Watson off. But the hound just like dives directly inside of the car right as the car closes and just jets
Oh,
off.
oh. Okay, so I guess that's why
But
he didn't stay in the show.
exactly.
Okay.
Because he was gonna attack Moriarty and just fly through space
Yeah,
for the time being.
yeah.
But before the hover car gets too far away, Sherlock quickly activates what is called a computer override device, and he throws it onto the
Okay.
hover car, which, according to him, the device has been programmed to take the hover car directly back to Scotland Yard, where
Oh,
Moriarty will be arrested by the Yardies, and other Yardies who are standing nearby will likely be attacked by that mechanical hound that is
yeah.
also trapped in there.
Yeah, they're gonna have a little surprise when they open that right up.
Exactly. Like the hound would actually be the first thing probably to pop out.
Yeah.
And then either Moriarty's like dead
Es-
mangled body is just in
Or
there,
like he
or like he
escapes during
sneaks
that
out.
time. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But the reason why they opt to just put this tracker on him instead of chasing him out of there is because they really need to override this defense network
Yeah.
so that these missiles don't all start launching off
Yeah, because
towards
the Moon
Earth,
Wars. Okay.
et cetera, and the moon wars of it all.
Yeah.
So Garrett is rushing, like sweating, just typing away, trying to override this system, standing at the computer, doing whatever he can. And he is able to bypass some of the security measures, but ultimately, to turn it all off, he still needs one of Moriarty's fingerprints. So Lestrade just like goes up to a panel that's on the wall, like the one that Moriarty pressed to open up the door or whatever for the hover car. She
Uh-huh.
shoots it, removing it from its circuits, rips it off the wall, and like hands it to Sherlock, like, here, use this. And Sherlock is straight up like, destructive but effective. Thank you, Lestrade.
She's like, this mission turns out boring. Let's fuck some shit
Yeah.
up.
I didn't get to punch a single person. Let me at least shoot at this thing and rip it off the wall.
Yes.
Okay.
Give me this one thing.
So So they do get a fingerprint from that they're able to copy with a piece of tape again, like Sherlock did earlier. And they use that to then gain full control over the defense network yet again and shut down all of the planned missile strikes with just 1 second to spare,
Mm.
while also getting all systems in Galileo City back up and online. So now that he has a moment to breathe, because like Holmes was like yelling at him, like, hurry up, you got to do it. Can you do something? He's like, I'm trying. And Lestrade's
Uh-huh.
like, you need to do it now. He's like,
It's
I'm
like, I
trying.
know.
I know we're all going to die. So now he can breathe and he is warmly embraced by his niece Kelsey. They give a good old big old hug to each other. They're very happy that they're safe. And also it's like, okay, good. So Kelsey, like she may like technically be an orphan, but yes, she does still have family
Have
nearby who
family.
cares about her and that is loving and treats her well, etc. So in the end, Watson and Lestrade are very happy that the mystery is solved, but they do ask Sherlock how the heck he knew that there was a Moriarty clone just roaming free around the world. And like,
Yeah.
obviously, why you didn't tell us about that. I guess he
Yeah.
wanted like actual proof before he knew it for certainty. But like I said before, he does tell them about that small little hole in the ice that we discussed in my last episode. And he paired that with the fact that he's like, this guy, aka like this thing, kept popping up everywhere we go, aka Martin Fenwick, who
Uh,
who Lestrade then drops a massive exposition dump on us, like, yes, Fenwick, a notoriously unethical genetic engineer who repeatedly has been arrested for his unlawful cloning experiments. Duh.
oh yeah, him? The dirt. Okay. Well,
Of course it's a clone. Thank you for that
also,
recap,
again,
Lestrade. Yeah.
so funny that like repeatedly arrested for this, and every time they just like quote unquote like lobotomize him and then let him back out. Clearly it wasn't working. I know that was
It
like the
didn't
whole
work.
first episode that like that machine
Yeah.
wasn't working, but like yeah, why do
Can we
you
do
keep
something about it then?
yeah, like
How can we fix that machine
okay,
so
he
it works?
clearly yeah, was if he was arrested once for it and then lobotomized and let back out, like okay, but repeatedly, clearly you've known this wasn't working for
Mm-hmm.
a while, right? Like
Exactly.
wasn't a
Yeah. It's
new
been quite a few
thing.
days, or at least weeks, maybe weeks, I mean, since the first
Yeah.
episode took place. So like,
Okay. Great.
come on.
Cool.
Like, can we do something about this? Can we
Not
detain
just
him
hope.
for real instead of
Yeah.
just lobotomize him? Like, what the fuck?
Okay.
So Watson and Lestrade deduce that Fenwick cloned Moriarty
Hmm.
in hopes that Moriarty would be like a criminal slave to him, but slave turned
Mm.
to master or enslaved turned to master. I don't know. We'll
Yeah.
skip over that phrase. Anyways, as as Moriarty's charm and wits obviously just sent Fenwick fall into his knees. He's like, "Oh, I can't control this man.
I
I'll
was
do
like, I'll
whatever
do
you
anything
want,
for her
sir."
now.
Yeah. So Sherlock further explains that when all of the technical equipment around New London was being stolen, he knew that Moriarty had to be behind the plan, i.e., he needed a hound, he needed to conquer the moon, and then he needed to completely
Of
dominate the Earth
course.
itself. Obviously, deductive reasoning, you
Duh.
know. But per the computer override device, Moriarty should be arriving at the new Scotland Yard shuttle port in about 2 hours. So
Oh,
he's not getting away this time. He's not wriggling his way out of this one.
okay.
And so then we go back to New London very briefly, particularly the Scotland Yard HQ at that
Okay.
shuttle port, where we see Moriarty's car, hover car, zooming through the city, making its way right to the port. And it slowly enters the port as Chief Inspector Grayson and a few other officers are nearby with their guns drawn, ordering Moriarty to surrender himself, and leave the vehicle with his hands up, et
Uh-huh.
cetera, et cetera. So when Moriarty doesn't respond to Grayson's instructions, Grayson orders an officer to shoot the hatch open,
Okay.
and the officer does. But inside, we see no one, not Moriarty,
Okay.
not a giant mechanical hound. And they take a closer look at things, and the officer informs Grayson that the hover car's, I guess, legally required parachute is also missing.
Okay, hold on. They were
The
just
ship,
like, we'll just put a tracker on it that
but
redirects
we're not
him. to New
But he
Scotland
can
Yard.
leave if he wants.
He'll see on the GPS New Scotland Yard, but we're not going to lock the doors.
I guess Sherlock didn't know that existed. He's not
He
familiar
just
with the
like
concept of locked doors,
opens
Grace.
the door and walks out, just hits the
Yeah.
emergency eject button.
Sherlock is unaware that hover car doors lock or unlock, and also that they're required to have parachutes in them. So the
Easy. At
person or
least
thing
that's cute
inside
that he
can
took the hound
have.
with him. He said, "Come on."
Yeah. Yeah. Come with
Wow.
me, big boy. Let's go.
Come on, you good boy. Wow.
So
Okay.
So the
Hilarious.
ship's log then reads off in a robotic voice that the life pods jettisoned during re-entry, meaning he escaped during re-entry, I guess. And we then just see Grayson furiously yelling to all of his officers, like, find him, like shaking his fists in the sky,
Uh-huh.
realizing that Moriarty, he's still on the loose.
Damn.
And that's the end.
Damn. Honestly, easy escape by him. He said, "Let me get
Easy.
into Earth's atmosphere and hit eject."
And I'm done. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he could be anywhere, who
Yeah.
knows where he landed? He might be in
Wow.
Brazil having a nice little vacation on the
Yeah, we don't
beach,
know.
getting some sun,
Wow. Great
plotting,
job.
scheming. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was wondering when we would learn how Moriarty is back, et
It's
cetera, et
still back.
cetera.
Yeah. And I feel like he was in your second episode, right? Because I went and watched it
Yeah, but I
after.
didn't
Yeah.
say
But
it because we didn't
yeah.
have the
Okay.
like reveal yet. But I
Exactly.
even in that episode, it was not clear how he was there. And so I also
Exactly.
was like, I'm not going to bring it up because I don't have answers.
Yeah, yeah. Well, boom, here's your answer. So now
Sick.
everybody, after you finish listening to this episode, go back and listen to last week's episode again so that you
Yes.
have a better although I guess, yeah, like you said, you didn't mention him in it, but like
Yeah. I said
Moriarty was
general
also there.
criminals.
Yeah, he
Yes.
was there. So anyway, so that
Exactly.
explains
Wow.
basically the whole like premise of this show. Sherlock Holmes,
Yes.
trapped in honey for 200 years after his
Yeah.
death. They released him from the honey and de-aged him. And then Moriarty was cloned around the
Cloned.
same time. And now it's just like the old days. Watson has his face and everything in this
Yeah.
still with the robotic body. So it's like the whole
Wow.
gang's all back together, and it's right
Back
back to
together.
it's basically right back to where everything started. They finished
Yes.
resetting the clock in this third
History repeats
episode.
itself.
Exactly. They say that a few times, like during their fight,
Oh, really?
Moriarty and Sherlock too. They're like, "So back to where it began," or like, "No, this is where it ends," or "No, this is where it begins," or "No, it
That's pretty
ends
good.
here," or "No, it's beginning again." Like they say all, yeah. So
Yeah, back and forth.
yes, yeah.
Wow, great
So
job.
that's the end of
Fun.
that interesting arc of how Sherlock and Moriarty are both alive, and now we've got a few more episodes
Yes.
to talk
To
about
see the
their crime solving escapades and his
yes.
Moriarty's crime creating escapades.
Amazing.
I'm sure Grace will have another great story about that for us next
Oh,
week.
yes.
And until then, Grace, who should the listeners and viewers tell about this podcast?
I think you should tell the crew of Artemis too.
Yeah.
Let them know.
Yeah.
They'll have lots to say about mining and a resort and storing weapons on the moon. They probably have a lot of opinions about it. So let them know. Ask them the opinions. We're big fans. And after that, who else should our listeners and viewers tell?
Then you should tell resorts. No. You should tell Sigourney Weaver.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, you
Then you
should.
should tell Sigourney Weaver. Basically, like that's Lestrade in this episode.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's that.
Hell yeah. Excellent. Very nice.
Sigourney Weaver hopped through space so that Lestrade could run.
Could shoot laser guns.
Exactly. So until next week, we'll be back with a whole new episode.
Yeah.
See you then.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for tuning in to Saturday Morning Mysteries.
If you enjoyed this episode, please share, rate, review, leave us a like, and drop a comment. We post episodes every Saturday and bonus tune tangents whenever we feel like it. So please subscribe so you don't miss the shenanigans.
And if you want to follow us on YouTube, click the bell under the YouTube subscribe button to receive notifications when new videos are posted.
And if you want to subscribe to the podcast, we have no idea what you're listening to us on. So just hit the big subscribe button on whatever app you're using. We believe in you.
Give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram at SatmornMist, all the abreves, and let us know if you have any episode or show requests by emailing SaturdayMorningMysteries@gmail.com.
Thanks to Jenna Kendall for the logo design and to Ava Sakiki for the music used during this week's episode.
See y'all groovy kids next week on Saturday Morning Mysteries.